Raise your hands, those who are 40 years old. You were 10 years old on February the 4th of 1992. Any memories you have left? Raise the hands, those who are around 30 years old. Those who are 20 years old. You are children, sons and daughters of a historic time, of the Bolivarian Revolution, born in the 20th century and in full development of this 21st century. You are the sons and daughters of delivery, complex delivery, harsh. Yesterday night, we were at a beautiful meeting north of the city, next to the San Carlos quarter garrison, inaugurating a monument, a square for the people, with the eternal figure as a tree, as a blossoming tree of our Commander Hugo Chávez. Yesterday, February the 3rd, day of the birthday of the great Mariscal of Ayacucho, because it was the day of the birthday of Sucre that the operations that the Zamora of the Bolivarian uprising began, led by the military youth 30 years ago. And yesterday we were at a beautiful event, accompanied by the combatants of the February the 4th, accompanied by the popular power, accompanied by the international guests. It seems they were not invited. They are on their way, the guests, accompanied by the major state of the Bolivarian armed forces here present. My greetings. My greetings to the National Armed Forces, Bolivarian Armed Forces, worthy heirs of the flags of Bolivar, and worthy heirs of the flags of the Bolivarian movement of revolution, and of February the 4th of 1992. Commander Hugo Chávez, his comrades, and the Bolivarian movement burst in the history of the Venezuelan history of the world at a very special moment, where capitalism declared its victory over the peoples of the world. The Soviet Union was falling in 1991. The bipolar world was getting to an end. North American imperialism was declaring its victory, and they were declaring the arrival of the unipolar world for 100 years. They felt joyful and victorious, and they were preparing their plans to colonize the countries of Latin America. And then, with the domination of Latin America and the Caribbean, they will go to for the dominion of the rest of the world with the neoliberal project. And not with weapons and armies, but with power of the International Monetary Fund as an instrument of the North American imperialism to submit economies and the peoples of the world. The plan was already set and done, and in full development. In Venezuela, boys and girls, in December 1988, in the middle of the confusion and darkness, in the middle of the fraudulent system, in the fraudulent electoral system in Venezuela, one of the symbols of delivery, of corruption, and betrayal came back to power. Rest in peace. He came back. It was still a confused people. They believed in his false promises to the Venezuelan people. They believed in the false promises of far-right populism. And they thought that there were policies coming to help and favor 80% of the people who were living in poverty. The days passed, and in January, the new government's plans were learned. There was a document released by then secret, the intention letter, so-called like that was being negotiated in Washington in secret between the Andrés Pérez government and the International Monetary Fund. This was circulated as a rumor in the neighborhoods, in the towns, and the people started to see what was really going on. Then there was the possession full of luxury, of fanfare, of excess, of false promises that February the 2nd of 1989. And then the signature of the letter of intention. There was nothing else but the signature of letter of betrayal to the promises made to the people during the electoral campaign in 1988. They intended to privatize all public services, all state companies, including the oil company. They meant to privatize everything that was left of public health, public education. They intended, under the rules of the IMF, in that drunkenness of power, right after the fall of the Soviet bloc, they intended to grab with the imperial claws the North American imperial and open the gates of Venezuela to its people, to its wealth. That's what they intended that February. They trusted in the demagogy, in the lie of Carlos Andrés Pérez. That's why it was a surprise for the peoples of the world. It was a surprise for history when that Monday, February 27th, the people of Venezuela rose against the International Monetary Fund. 28 of February 1989. It was the first popular uprising against a new unipolar world, against the drunkenness of power. That in Europe, they made them believe owners of the world. It was a popular uprising that left blood, pain, and death. Because the popular uprising after that, with that the largest massacre known in the history of Venezuela, known as the Massacre of Caracazo. Over 3,000 dead. Common